No conference in the country is in a better setup, top to bottom, with leadership than the Big East. All right, welcome into Big East Energy Weekly, where legends are born. I'm your co-host, Mark Zanetto of the Hoops Cap Pod here on Big East Energy Network. We have a co-host as well, Casey Matthews of the Roll Jays Pod, former Creighton assistant Casey Matthews, with us today as well, as always. All right, Casey, you were at the Final Four. There's so much going on in college basketball. How do you feel about this? I'm going to throw a curveball at you right from the jump. I saw so many college basketball analysts and people that are doing what we do on a regular basis, essentially like saying goodbye to college basketball. I think that's the season may be over, but the work doesn't stop. Like, there's so much going on behind the scenes, and there's not a conference that is better in place for the upcoming season and off season than the Big East.
I agree with you. It's an interesting dynamic, right? Because the season's ending for sure. So like, you got to put the bow on the 24-25 season. So I understand that. But at the same time, the nothing really ends anymore. I'm old enough to remember when I first got into college basketball, there was a natural ending to the season, kind of cool off, and then you can start back up. That's gone. With workouts, I was in a gym earlier today here locally at college, and they're working out today. Like, it doesn't end. So no, it's nonstop. I think in terms of the coaching, if you're a Big East basketball fan like we are, I know we have our allegiances for our teams, but just in general, Big East hoops, you got to be fired up right now. We got the thing up, the masterminds. So you look at the coaches. And you led with it top to bottom. We are set up for success. And now with the House ruling, kind of being delayed, and we don't really know what's going to happen with that. That gets interesting. But once all that shakes out, the Big East is in prime position in terms of just NIL as well, because we don't have as much football money that has to be given to football. So I love where the Big East is at. And where I know we're going to talk transfer portal and a couple other things, but I really do believe the coaches we've brought in, to the league, they do nothing but push us forward. Besides just the actual coaching that itself, next year you're going to have 2 times guaranteed a year Pitino versus Pitino. Are you kidding me? Like, you got Kevin Willard back in the league going against Coach Mack, which I was there with Coach Mack versus Kevin Willard in the Seton Hall Creighton rivalry. We won a share of the Big East championship against Coach Willard. I'm so excited for how we're moving forward now as a league. So I think your point is well taken.
Yeah, in the beauty of this is, like, I think when you look at other power conferences, and one of the reasons why, outside of NIL money, outside of the blue blood statuses of like a Carolina or Duke or other places, like, you really can't point to another conference that can literally go top to bottom. Like, even if you think about this, say whatever you want about Thad Matta, the guy was a Final Four caliber coach. Dan Hurley's a back-to-back national champion. They're looking to reload next year. You got Greg McDermott at Creighton, obviously had a phenomenal year this year. You can speak to his bona fides. Again, Chris Holtman, a quality coach on a DePaul team that is, been in the dregs of the Big East. Then you got Georgetown with Ed Cooley.
Great point.
Whether you like Ed Cooley or not, the guy's resume speaks for itself. Shaka Smart, Shaheen Holloway, Kim English, the Patinos, and then you have then you have Kevin Willard. So,
was there a hotter name in college basketball 2 years ago than Shaheen Holloway?
Right,
there wasn't. Right, and you talked about Kim English. Kim English is highly regarded as a great basketball coach. He's struggling, I think, a little bit right now. Got to get that going. But I think it's fair to say, if you were to rank them, okay, I think it's fair to say that Shaheen and Kim would probably fight for the last spot in the Big East, or maybe the second to last spot they want to fight for. But And I know that seems like a knock. It's not, because when you look at the other names in the league, it's not a knock. But I think to be able to say that the quote unquote worst, I hate to say worst, but the worst
Relatively
coach in the
speaking.
league is Kim English or Shaheen Holloway. Good night. You're in a good spot.
Yeah, and I think for me, what I would argue is that I wouldn't even put Pitino and Willard in the mix yet, because do they have experience other places? I mean, in Kevin Willard's instance, he's actually coached in the Big East before. But my point is like currently, I think you could do that. But like, I don't even know if we count Kevin Willard, and because I don't know, man, like unless you've won a title, unless you've been to multiple Final Fours, if you're coming into the Big East and it's just a different animal. And I know that we sound very, at least I do. I know I sound snobby when I say that, but like coaching the Big East is not like coaching in the ACC or the Big Ten.
I think you got to include Willard though, Mark, because he's been in the league. I mean, he won a share of the Big East championship. So like, I know it's changed a little bit, but gosh, I think you could actually even say now, I mean, he's at a much better spot now than he was when he was at Seton Hall. I mean, they have money. They have unbelievable facilities. They have tradition. Like I'll tell you what, I mean, if I was a Villanova fan, I'd be pretty excited right now. I think it's interesting because I really wonder, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, is like, Villanova, if you just look at it and scale out, so much of what you get when you talk about Villanova is the tradition, is the culture. And it's not been that way for a couple of years now, even though Jay's still been around the program. And there's a lot of returning coaches are there. You still have the vibes, the Villanova vibes, but now you don't. Now you are it's Kevin and bringing in his guys. And I'm really interested to see what the brand of Villanova looks like now, because it's been this toughness / talent / culture. Like, what do you think now that you have a new guy in there that doesn't have that same history?
Yeah, I think he's going to have the same questions that a lot of coaches have when they've had success in league, but then when it gets to the tournament, they haven't had the success. And I know largely that can sometimes be matchup related, and sometimes you just have bad luck. I mean, I don't think anyone would consider Rick Barnes a bad coach just because he hasn't been to the Final Four. You know what I mean? Like, so there are these markers that coaches have to get to. And, when we're talking about the team that I follow, like most of our fan base is very, let's just put it this way, spoiled that they've had coaches and opportunities, whether they're a men's or women's fan, that like is just not based in reality. Like these are certain. So like when you look at the markers for like a Seton Hall, Kevin Willard's career, he was 225 and 161 at Seton Hall. Like you said, he won 2 Big East championships while he was there, which is, tied for first or really just had one, tied for first in 2019-20. But he never made it past the round of 32. Like, like they had that.
I see what you're
17,
saying.
18, you know what I mean? Like that area, like I think it was, they used to call that something different, but like, I think he won one game in the tournament in his time at Seton Hall. So like, that's the only thing that I would question is like, he's going to have more money now with NIL at Villanova than he had to worry about at Seton Hall, because that wasn't a part of, at least we don't think it was a part of anything like legally in the Big East back then. So, I just think with Willard, whether it's Richard Pitino, whether it's now, Shaw, whether it's any of the guys that are in the league that aren't proven winners, whether, the proven winners I would consider. And, UConn fans are going to give me shit because I'm going to put Coach Mack in there because he's a proven winner. He may not have gotten to a Final Four, but I'm not using that, holding that against him. But the Rick Pitino, the Dan Hurleys, even Thad Matta, you can put him in there because he was a Final Four guy. Like outside of that, you got to prove it on the court, and like you kind of just have to fight through the noise.
Yeah, I'd love for some UConn fans to leave us some comments on your Coach Mack take there, because if anybody's going to sit here and try to tell me that Coach Mack's not a proven winner, I don't know what you have to do to be a proven winner. If going to the Final Four is what you have to do, then that's insanity. But I mean, I understand the perspective, and I get you, UConn fans, man. You guys are nuts. So
we're
I'm
insane.
Sure somebody will certainly try to call me out on that, but I can go to toe to toe with anybody on that deal. So he's unbelievable. But well, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I just think we're in a great spot. I'm just fired up. I think everybody in this league can coach, and obviously we just love the league in general. But I just can't help but feel like it just took another step forward, and we're gonna see some great basketball.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. How do you think? And we're gonna get to the next segment here in a second. But last topic or kind of question on this, when it comes to like, how would you? I don't even care about the bottom tier. Take the allegiances aside. Who are your top 3 coaches in the league right now? If you had to rank them. I'll give you a better scenario. You have one coach, and you have one game to win, and it's you, and you're on the staff because you were a former coach, and you rank them gold, silver, bronze, first, second, third. Who are your 3 guys that you would essentially put out there to coach your one game,
right?
To win a game for your life?
So let's say this though. Let's just make sure I'm correct here. The team is identical. It's only the coach that changes.
There's not one team has a better advantage. All the NILs equal, the talent's equal. It's one coach.
Yeah. You're gonna crush me on this. Win. You're gonna crush me. The fans are definitely gonna crush me. I'm going Coach Mack, and I know it's a homer pick. I get it, but let me tell you why. Big East tournament. Mac goes in, beats UConn at Madison Square Garden. Okay.
So South.
True. Very true.
Right.
With a team that cost more money than that UConn team. Just throwing that out there. Definitely. Now, St. John's, maybe the most expensive team. I mean, not the most expensive team in the country, but definitely in the league. He's got a lead at halftime at Madison Square Garden. And it takes an unbelievable effort from RJ in the second half. Here's the deal. I promise you this, no team is more prepared than a Coach Mack-led team. No team. He is a expert schemer. So game to game, he'll create different game plans. Like UConn, for instance. You remember when Andre Jackson was on the team? And who was I can't remember his name now, the really good defender. I think he wore number 5. That could switch everything. Isaiah was it Isaiah?
Isaiah Whaley?
Isaiah Whaley.
The wrench.
Right? You just flat out wouldn't guard him, right? Mac's willing to take chances that other coaches aren't willing to take. And so I'm going Mac. Number 2, I am gonna go Hurley, number 2. Because I feel like here's the thing. What I saw from Coach Pitino, I'm a big Pitino guy. I didn't love what I saw in the tournament. And like the way he didn't play RJ down the stretch, like I know he wasn't having a good game, but like you gotta roll with your dudes, man, especially in the NIL era where you're paying them a lot of money. Like if I'm one of the guys paying that money and RJ's not on the court late, I'm pretty furious right now. But so I think I'm gonna go Hurley just based off of that in terms of just the feel, and then I'd go Pitino. Now, obviously, all time, I think Pitino's in the top 3, maybe 5 all time. I think he's unbelievable, but today, 2025, that's the way I'm going to roll. How about you?
We're homers. I'm going to go, and the reason why I'm going Dan is because, and I'm going to coach. I'm going to go Dan, Mac, Pitino for this reason. Same. Keep it short. I'm going to tell you that the reason why is the same reason why you told me about why you would put Pitino behind Hurley. But the only reason why I put Coach Mac second is not because I'm a Hurley guy, is because when I was there in Raleigh for the Florida game, I know they lost, but this is a UConn team that Florida just won the national championship.
Yeah.
And UConn has them on the ropes. And I can tell you right now, if UConn wins that game, they're going to the Final Four, because there's no other team in that bracket that would have scared them, or the confidence that you get from beating a Florida team that just basically just ran through the tournament. They're going to San Antonio. And so that team was so prepared for everything that Florida was going to do. The difference was Walter Clayton. I mean, they had him, we didn't. But everything in that first half. Do you know how many open threes UConn missed? 9. Wide open threes. They didn't have the horses this year. But but Hurley's offense, his attention to detail, knowing exactly that staff and what they do to kind of confuse the shit out of Florida in that first half. It's tied. They probably could have been up 10.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I mean, I think it's fair. I think we're splitting hairs. I think it's 1A, 1B.
I think so too.
1C, you know.
All right. I'm sure we're going to have plenty more of those. And I can't wait to have other folks' opinions because I want us to, the whole point is we're going to get more folks in here. Xavier's going to be talking about how Richard Pitino is the best, and everybody.
We're going to get some Marquette guys going down.
Marquette, I love Shaka. I think Shaka is great. All right, so we're going to transition to the transfer portal, and I mean, transfer portal is just chaos all over the place. Let's go talk about it right now. All right, welcome back to Big East Energy Weekly with your hosts, Casey Matthews and Mark Zanetto here. Hey, real quick, guys, I want to introduce you to a new sponsor of ours. This is not the official start of it, but Jacob at Asabasa Spice sent me a care package, and this week I decided to make a steak. I get these really great steaks here locally in North Carolina, and I had some that were frozen. Unfroze it, got it all squared away, and just a real quick little promo for Asabasa, and it's a spice company that we're partnering with. Check out this real quick. Here it is. I think I did a good job of not only seasoning it with the Asabasa
you cooked
spice,
it right, that's for sure.
The cook was perfect.
Dude,
you
nailed the cook.
So good. And if you're unfamiliar with how to cook a steak, you can DM me. It's a simple process. Okay. But no, I truly do. No, but I don't know how you do it, but if it's a nicer day, I'll do it on a grill sometimes. But like for this specific cut, like a fillet or like a ribeye, I'll do a sear on a cast iron, and then I put it in an oven with the cast iron, and then I take it out and sear it again for the crust all around. So you have that nice crust. And because of the Asabasa spice, it creates this really interesting like crust that you don't get with a lot of like the store-bought rubs. Yeah. And that's what I loved about it. It had a really good kick to it, has some salt. I put a little extra salt and pepper on it, nothing crazy, but just so it didn't take away from it. But yeah, I mean that sat there for, I got it to room temperature, and I put the rub on, and it sat there for probably 3-4 hours. You don't have to do it for that long, but that's what I did the other day.
Hey, that stuff is I'm super excited that we're partnering with Asabasa. I've used them for quite a while now. Really cool to kind of discover them. Unbelievable products. I have some in my pantry. I'm a big griller and smoker, so I definitely get down with Asabasa, and I'm glad that we have them on as a sponsor. So a lot of their stuff too, which kind of you said about they don't have a lot of those fillers that those big companies have to use because it is all like locally bottled, and it's high level stuff, man. So I'm pumped to have them on as a sponsor. So one day me and you got to do a cook off, Mark, because I can throw it down on the grill too. So
I think we're gonna have to have that at some point. But like if anyone's interested, check this out, asabasaspice.com/BEE. That's the link you can use to show that you got the promo code from us. I think it gives you 15% off your first order. So that's going to be a part of the Big East Energy network kind of founding sponsorship. Yep. And so just feel free to check that out.
Personal recommendation too, Mark. Next time you put your order in the everything bagel seasoning.
Oh yeah, my wife loves it, and I'm that's definitely happening. Yep.
Out of this world. So.
1000%. Cool. I showed that to her, and she was just like, "Good, get some." All right, so transfer portal chaos. RJ Lewis is still kind of sniffing around the portal, but that's going to take a little while because he's going to go through the draft process. I'm going to start with my guys first, and then you go to Creighton, and then we'll talk
Yeah.
through kind of the rest of the league. With UConn right now, UConn didn't really lose much. And I say that, I'm not saying that negatively. I think the freshmen that transferred out could have had bigger roles. Dan decided to go more with the guys who were established. So you lose Isaiah Abraham. He transfers to Georgetown. You lose Ahmad Noel. We're yet to hear where he's going to go. You lose Aiden Mahaney. I haven't heard where he's going to go, although I think it's going to be more West Coast. He was linked to you guys. I don't know if you guys have any interest with him, but I doubt it. And then last one was Yusef Singari, 6'11", 6'10" guy. Yusef was an incredible vibes guy, like just a freaking really good teammate. Him and Cam Spencer were like this. Like they used to call him the odd couple, like just such a cool dude, but just didn't really get a lot of run. And so those guys are gone. You replace them with the 4 freshmen that are coming in. The number 2 class in the country. Eric Riba replaces Yusef. You have Ahmad getting replaced with Darius Adams. You have Jacob Furphy being replaced with or Isaiah Abraham being replaced with Jacob Furphy. And then you have, in my opinion, the prize of the class, Braylon Mullins, who's kind of just a freak, 6'5", 6'6". My buddy Chris Smith talks about he's the Teen Wolf because he wears a similar jersey than the Teen Wolf character. Michael J. Fox, he's coming to UConn next year, so it kind of is like a wash there, and probably you got better, more talented, right? Then you get Silas DeMaurier Jr. as a point guard, and linked to Malachi Smith today. I did a show earlier in the day about how he could potentially come in, the Dayton point guard, maybe a backup piece. We'll see if they can sell him on that. I know you guys have a couple of big guys that came in. Talk to us about Owen Freeman and Josh Dix, right? Nick Graves, too?
And Graves. I love what the Jays have done so far. I think, one, you lose Pop Isaacs, which I think we all saw coming, wanted more money, wasn't going to happen, so he moves along. And, obviously Calk, you lose Steven. And you lose Jemiah Neal to graduation. So you kind of, that's going to happen. Now, you go out and you get Owen Freeman, who at the time was the best big on the market. Get him. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand, I don't have all the figures, but from what I understand, he took less money to come to Creighton because he wanted to play at Creighton. Then you go out and you get your point guard and Nick Graves. Now, here's what I like with Nick, because what's interesting with Owen is Kalkbrenner's been the drop coverage guy. I'm really interested to see how they play Owen defensively. I don't know that he's a drop coverage big, so we'll have to see what they can do defensively there. Offensively, though, with Nick Graves, you get a bigger point guard. Steven's obviously phenomenal system guy, great shooter. He does all the things, right? When you go to Nick Graves, he's about a 6'3" point guard, so he's a little bit bigger and longer, can see over the defense a little bit better. He's more of a playmaker rather than just a shooter. He still shoots 33% from 3, so he can knock it down. But he is going to be more of it, looking for playmakers and looking for other people. And then you go out and you get Josh Dix. Now, that recruiting for Josh was interesting. You had Indiana in the mix there. Mm-hmm. There was another school, Illinois was in the mix there. So certainly Josh probably cost some money, is what my guess. I don't think he was cheap. Local kid. Unfortunately, I believe I've heard his mom is kind of sick, and so he wants to be able to be close to her, which we wish the best to them and their family there. But I love Josh. I mean, he can shoot it. He can go off the dribble. He's long. He's athletic. I think it's so far what we've done is fantastic. Now, I do feel like we needed to get another wing. And you have Hudson Greer also coming in as a freshman at Montverde, big time player. But freshmen can take a little bit of time.
Sure.
You have Jackson McAndrew, Jason Green coming back. I love where we're at. I really do. I think it's going to be, on paper, it's definitely one of the better teams Creighton's had in a while. Because I think with Owen Freeman, he's different, but he's going to produce right away. And I don't think that he's a guy that's going to take time to get going. The 2 guards we brought in, I think they're day one producers. And so I'm really excited about where the Jays are at. I think, you look around the league, Georgetown, their recruiting class, from what I saw, their transfer portal recruiting class is, and a lot of websites are ranking it top 10. And actually, I think Creighton's was like number 3, number 4. Villanova's lost a couple guys lately. You got to think Richard's got some people coming in, maybe from New Mexico. as well. I'm intrigued. I'm sorry, that was Xavier. I meant to say that for Xavier. For Villanova, they have also lost some guys, and you're also thinking probably Maryland is going to have a couple guys that transfer out, and they'll bring with them to Nova. So, what else you got? I mean, I think Marquette.
So
what's funny about Marquette is Marquette doesn't really hit the portal that hard.
No, and actually, people were getting on me about that too, about like how. I mean, I love Shaka. Listen, I would of all the people in the league. There's if I ask this question a lot sometimes, it's like who would you want to have dinner with, or who would you want to have a foursome playing golf with, right? And Shaka would be up there. Like
I'm glad you put the playing golf with there, Mark. Family friendly show.
Family friendly show. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, don't get me started on a tangent like for something else. No, but like when it comes to Shaka, like every interaction I've ever had with him, he's always like a great example. Like I have been up to stores this year and was like walking around doing like pregame shooting some video, and I got this camera cage that like makes your camera look like you're real professional, like you look like you have like this thing and you're walking around with it. So I'm getting video of UConn and Marquette, and I didn't get this on camera, but it was like the funniest thing. Like I'm filming the guys on the Marquette side, and I zoom over or pan over to Shaka like this. He goes and he like looks at me and kind of like gives me like a wink, like what's up, man? Like I can see you doing what you're doing. So he just is always so engaging with everyone. Like he's always got a great perspective, win or lose. In this case, they lost. So he was great in the press conference. So like but the same point, like you have to adapt or you die. And his teams typically start off really hot, but the style of play sometimes leads to them not having enough in the end. I don't know.
It's going to be interesting. Now I know they love their freshman class. So, I mean, I think they have a guy. I know Nigel James is in that class. Adrian Stevens, I'm looking at it now, and Ian and Michael Phelps. And I've talked to some of their guys on their staff. They love their freshmen. I'm with you though, Mark. I just don't know how you do it. I don't know how you can compete in the Big East with freshmen right now. Like it's one thing that supplement your roster with freshmen, but to be dependent on your freshmen to win, that's really tough. I mean, you saw it firsthand. You had the best freshman in the league in Liam McNeely, and even he was up and down. So I don't know what they're going to do there, but
I also think too, like it's interesting when you kind of lump that into freshmen leading a team as a part of. I mean, you can win with freshmen. I mean, hell, you just saw Duke get to the Final Four with 4 freshmen. Now they're likely lottery picks, but
difference, yeah.
And I also think they also benefited from playing in a league that was a lot softer, right? If you have Duke in the Big East, I think that they lose a few games, and B those. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm joking around. If the Big East ACC alliance ever happens, that Duke team that got shook by Houston down the stretch, that doesn't happen to them if they're playing in the Big East, because they're facing that pressure against Marquette. They're facing that pressure against St. John's. And it would have prepared them for a better outcome. So I'm glad, because I don't want Duke to win a national championship, but like it does prepare you for those type of scenarios. That being said, on the flip side to your point, because it's so much more physical, you're right. Like you can't be led by a freshman. You can have him be a part of it. Like when UConn won a national championship a couple years back, Steph Castle was, as you can see in the NBA, he's pretty freaking good. So
bad boy.
But he was a piece on that team, and that was the thought process of Liam. They thought he was going to be another piece to a larger puzzle. It turned out that he had to be more of a number one option, and that's tough to do. It just is.
Absolutely, it is, and he was so good. But I do think you gotta have veteran leadership.
So St. John's, I always say this guy's name wrong. Josan Sonan.
Yeah.
They got him from Arizona. Bryce Hopkins. RJ Lewis is still dangling out there. Brady Dunlop is in the transfer portal. They're linked to Xavion Lee, who's a point guard from Princeton, 6'3", 6'4"-ish, average about 17 points a game for the Tigers there. and they're also linked to Ian Kennedy. Is that his last name, from North Carolina, who just jumped in the portal?
Jackson.
Jeez. Ian Kennedy is a former Yankee pitcher. That just popped into my head. So,
are you a Yankees fan?
Yeah, but I also think that's also part of the reason why I thought that, because I think Ian's from the Bronx. That could be.
I'm a Yankees fan, Mark. So this is unbelievable.
Oh wow, look at that! I'm sure the UConn fans are turning it off right now because that's the one thing they hate about me. They're like, "Oh, I'll see you guys later." Red Sox all the way.
Hate all you want.
No, what's funny is I always say the UConn fandom is like, we all come together and pray at the altar of the Huskies while we're wearing Red Sox, Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants hats, because it's everyone from that area, right?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, but no, like, so from my thought process, like, I feel like St. John's is going heavy. Like this is not the end of their spending spree.
No. Until Coach Pitino's done, their time and their window is not closed. I mean, it's just they're going to keep spending the money. I mean, Bryce Hopkins obviously was incredibly expensive. If they get Ian Jackson, he won't be cheap. I can tell you that.
No, he won't.
He's got a lot of local ties there to New York and to that staff. So I think they're the early leader in the clubhouse. So Sonan, good player. The kid from Princeton, we actually played against him my last year at Creighton when he was just a freshman, and I could see then he was going to be a good player. I think he can really shoot the ball. No, man, they're good. It's not going to get any easier going to New York. I can tell you that. All the people whining last year about having to play St. John's in the Garden in the tournament, get used to it, because they're going to be dominant again. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how right we were about our top three, because it's going to take a Hurley or a Coach Mack to unseat them, I think.
Yeah, and honestly, I think we're going to move on, because right now, I mean, the only other team that's doing a lot right now is Georgetown. I think they picked up some pretty good guys. They picked up Deshaun Harris-Smith from Maryland. They picked up KJ Lewis from Arizona. They snagged our freshman Isaiah Abraham. They got Langston Love. So, like, they're making moves. Duncan Powell from Georgia Tech. So he is definitely
he has to
restocking. So and decidedly so. They lose. I think they lost Alex Mack. No, I think he's still there on the list here. So we'll see what shakes out. And we're definitely going to keep monitoring this transfer portal situation. If anything big happens, we'll definitely have to jump in and talk about it. But we're going to take a quick break, and then Casey's got an interesting story from the Final Four about the Big East Naismith domination at the award ceremony, and we're going to talk about that after the break. All right, we're back on Big East Energy Weekly with your co-host Casey Matthews and your co-host as well, Mark Zanetto. Don't be afraid to check out Asabasa Spice. Show you that banner again real quick. There it is. We should leave it up for a little while. All right, man. Tell me what went down in the Final Four, because you sent me a message pre-show, and I'm just want to kind of talk through that really quick.
Yeah, so I got a really interesting opportunity. I was on the Creighton staff for quite a while there when we recruited Ryan Kalkbrenner, and was fortunate enough to be there for Ryan's first 3 years, and still really close with him. He's like, I'll call him I always call him the big pal. I call people pal all the time, and he loves it, and he started calling people pal. So which I got to say, I stole that from Doc Sadler. I used to work for Doc, and Doc calls everybody pal. So stole that. Then Ryan stole it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start calling you the big pal. So me and the big pal are pretty close. And so he won the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year. He also won the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Big Man of the Year. But the Naismith one was really neat. They do a brunch at every Final Four. I was already in San Antonio and was out to dinner Saturday night, and watching the games with a buddy. And literally, I'm telling him about this, Kalk winning the award, and how the thing is tomorrow, and I wish I could be there, kind of deal. I'm telling you, a minute and a half later, Coach Mack walks in, and we both see him. We're like, what? This is nuts. We were just talking about you, Mac. And this guy that I'm with has no affiliation to Creighton. So, but the Mac sits down with us and just hung for a couple hours, just watching the games, have dinner. And he says, "Hey, Casey, you want to come to the deal tomorrow?" And I was like, "Coach, I don't have a ticket for it. I don't think it's open." And he was like, "All right, cool, whatever." 5 minutes later, my phone goes off and I have a text with the instructions on where to be, what time the next morning. And so that's just Coach Mac for you. I mean, he's the best. So he knew how much that would mean to me to be there with Ryan. So kept it a surprise from the big pal. And you know, I walk in and we'll have him on too one day. Is John Fanta's in the building, and you know, got to see John. John's a friend, and talk to him for a little bit, and then we go down to the actual award ceremony. Just unbelievable building. I wish I had a way to really demonstrate it, because a picture doesn't do it justice. But so we go in and they do the award ceremony. You know, you got a little brunch, and then they start doing the awards. And it was pretty neat, man. They actually, normally it goes like defensive player of the year, coach of the year, player of the year. So because Cooper won player of the year, and Duke was flying out that morning to go home, they rearranged the show and did player of the year first. So I'm sitting, I mean, my seat is, I'll have to send you a picture. My seat is like right by the stage. I'm in the, like, as close as you can be. And just happened to be that way. And then they do the award. Cooper walks out with Coach Shire. Coach Shire speaks for a second, and then Cooper speaks. And then they do coach of the year and defensive player of the year. Well, coach of the year was Coach Pitino. Defensive player of the year is the big pal, Ryan Kalkbrenner. So, you know, as I'm sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, the Big East is just dominating even the Naismith Awards, and not taking away anything from the SEC or the Big Ten, but they didn't win any of those, you know, those awards. It's just, I was thinking to myself, like, how lucky are we right now to be, you know, covering the Big East in this time when you have the Naismith Coach of the Year award and the Defensive Player of the Year award in your league, and it's just, you know, it's not Coach Hurley, you know what I mean? It's not. Right. I mean, obviously you saw Coach Mac, but there's just so many names, so many players in this league right now that I just think it's just elevated the league so much, and I think we're in a great spot. And it's just a really cool deal for me personally. It's one of the best basketball memories of my life, and I've been in a lot of basketball situations, and that was unbelievable thing to be a part of. So thanks again to Coach Mac for that.
That's really cool, man. No, when you told me that story off air, I asked you this question, and I'll get your view on this now. They won 2 of the awards, Defensive Player of the Year and Coach of the Year. Do you think Cooper Flag should have won Player of the Year?
Yeah, I do. I know you're framed as the Duke hater, and probably rightfully so. But I do. I think, you know, here's why. I think offensively and defensively he's dominant. I think defensively he protects the rim like a center, but he could step out and shoot the three. He can go off the dribble. And I just think he's such a smart basketball player. And frankly, Mark, I didn't watch a ton of Duke basketball this year. The ACC to me has really fallen off, and I don't love it like I did when I was a kid. I grew up in North Carolina, so I was a Carolina fan my whole life. I was a big Duke hater as a kid, but you know, yeah. But Cooper was unbelievable. Watch him in the tournament. Every time they needed a big play, I mean, the last 10 minutes they made one field. It was Cooper's 3, and they put him up 9. I thought the game was over. So, like, he just makes plays that I don't see anybody else making. That's not to take away from Janiah Broome, who else? Walter Clayton was unbelievable in the tournament. But overall, I also think too is, if you go into the season, nobody else had the expectations that this kid had on him, and to perform like he did every night. Yeah, he's got my vote, man. I'm not saying it's like an avalanche or whatever, you know. I think Janiah is close. I think Walter Clayton's a good player, but his tournament to me put him, you know, elevated him so much. Braden Smith is probably my 4th pick of those 4, but he's a great player, and he very well could win it next year. So
he's coming back. Okay. Yeah, I can see that perspective, and again, like because I'm a Duke hater, people will think it's biased, and it probably is. I think inherently we all have a little bit of bias when we're talking about specific players or coaches or whatnot. Anytime someone's wearing a Duke across their chest, it just immediately turns me off. Like I'm just like, whatever, man. Like
I get it.
Like I don't give it, whatever. But to me, watching Cooper play, there were plenty of times because I'm down here in North Carolina, so ACC network's on, whatever. And remember my wife being like, "Who's that kid?" Like my wife is a big time football fan. She's more learning about basketball. I'm kind of probably shortchanging her. She'll probably like watch this later and probably try to and make me say, why are you making me out to be like a person that doesn't know sports? But like she's not an aficionado. Like if
Sure.
she literally can tell you like what technique offensive linemen can do, like versus like again, like on the basketball side, she just knows, you can always just tell who's good and who's not, right?
Absolutely.
And I remember one time we were watching during the season and she was like, "Who's that kid?" And I was like, "That's Cooper Flag. He's the number 1 recruit in the country." And she was like, "He's fucking good." So like that's one of those things where even people who don't know basketball know he's a phenomenal player. But I think if you strip it down to who was the most impactful, I mean, if I look at that Duke team, I know that Cooper does everything on offense and defensive side, but hell, man, like, do they get there without Malawach? Do they get there without Con Knipple? Like, I just think that there's so many other like lottery picks with him on that team that it's kind of hard to take it away from Janai Broome, because Janai Broome is a transfer guy. He played at a mid-major, played at Morehead State. And I mean, he's playing with other like grown men. Like, don't get me wrong. 25-year-old, Mazzaro and, a couple freshmen in Pettiford and all that. But like, are any of those guys going to be a top 10 pick next year? No.
Right.
But I mean, if I'm an NBA scout, I'm going to Duke and I'm grabbing Malawach, I'm grabbing Con Knipple, I'm grabbing Ngumba from the guy who's on the bench. Isaiah Evans is a potential lottery pick, potential first round pick. So it's like even guys they had on the bench are first round picks.
Yeah,
that's where I definitely have such a bigger issue with.
Yeah, I completely get it. For me, I think it's just the year he had. He's 18 years old. I mean, the expectations on him were just unrealistic, and he somehow met him and exceeded him. I don't
know if he exceeded them because they didn't win a title.
I know that, but I just don't know that that's fair. Like, I don't know
if life.
I know, but to say who was the player of the year, I don't know if losing to Houston, in the Final Four like that disqualifies you. I really don't. I mean,
I think it's one of the worst collapses in Final Four history.
It is, but then how can you say that? But then you have Janai Broome lost with Auburn.
Yeah, but they weren't up 9 with 3 minutes to go, or up 6 with 33 seconds to go.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, but I just think if
man,
winning a national championship is the deal, then the only choice is Creighton. No.
I think we're doing revision. I think we're doing revisionist history. Like, I think if you break it down into the regular season, I still think that Janai Broome should have won. I think Cooper Flag was a close second. I think Cooper Flag is going to be a 7 million times better professional player than Janai Broome. But just because it kind of reminds me of like, and I know this is different because players went to the pros. They skipped college most of the time. NIL wasn't around. Dwight Howard and Emeka Okafor. I remember when they both were like, that was the debate. Like, I think it was Orlando. Who should Orlando pick between Dwight Howard and Emeka Okafor? Well, Dwight Howard just got into the Basketball Hall of Fame. He was clearly the better choice. But all of the UConn fans were like, how do you not choose Emeka Okafor? The guy was like a college player of the year. He just won a national championship, blah, blah, blah. Like, there was a reason why Dwight Howard was the pick. There's a reason why Cooper Flag's going to go number 1 in the draft. And all of it is that you just talked about. But as far as a college basketball player in what they had, you're looking at Janai Broome, who was on an SEC team and playing against SEC defenses all the time, versus Cooper Flag essentially playing in a mid-major light in the ACC. Sorry, like that's the reason why I think he was so exalted. And then you go into the Final Four and has a great game, has a great tournament. They beat the shit out of everybody, but then when the rubber meets the road and Houston gets tough with them, they kind of choked. That's why I look at that like I feel like that my point is validated.
And you might be right. And let me say this too: the award is decided upon long before that.
Yeah,
so
of course.
You might be right, and maybe if that game gets included in the discussion, it is a different result. But yeah, I mean the voting is done before the Final Four, so we'll never know.
We'll never know, and I'm sure that can get clipped, and I'm sure we'll put that out there, and I'm sure Duke fans will love me even more. But before the tournament,
perfect. They'll love me now, though, right?
Oh yeah, they'll love you. They'll be like, "Oh, remember that Big East guy, Casey? He's a big Duke guy." No, but one of the things I would say is before the tournament, I just said, man, I think we just have to all be resigned to the fact that Duke's gonna win it all. Like, and to be honest with you, man, like I'm sitting there watching that game again with my wife. One of the rare moments where both of our young kids, are sleeping. And so we're watching it together. And I looked to her when they went up 9, and I said, unless something crazy happens, this game's over. Well, crazy happened. And, that's why you watch the game. Then that's why you don't go to sleep or you don't, turn this off. They're going to win because you never know. Shit's crazy.
You never know. College basketball. I love it.
All right. Well, listen, this has been another episode of Big East Weekly. Casey, good stuff, man. I am going on vacation next week, so we will keep you guys updated if Casey can get a show together next week solo or with a guest or with another member of our network. We'll definitely have one. If not, we'll see you in a couple weeks. But just stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to Big East Energy Network. We have Roll Jays, we have Hoops Cap, we have Big East Energy Weekly, and we're adding more podcasts as we speak in anticipation of next season.
And Mark, let's let people know too, man. If anybody is listening and watching, we see it, the views. We appreciate all the support. It's been unbelievable so far. We're glad to be doing this, and it's taken off. But also, don't be afraid. Please throw us some questions in the chats. We're checking all the socials.
Absolutely.
If there's any topics you guys want us to cover, give us some ideas. We'd love to cover them. And if there's other Big East great podcasts that you like, let us know what those are too, so we can watch those and get some other ideas and have them on
as guests.
But yeah, your support, everybody, it's unbelievable. It's so appreciated. So keep it coming.
All right. Big East Energy out.